Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about the Biden impeachment inquiry. We're going to talk about what's happening. We're going to talk about the most likely outcome from what's happening. And then we're going to talk about why it's happening to begin with. Because it is not that a whole bunch of Republicans suddenly believe that Biden has committed an impeachable offense. That's not what's going on. Okay, so what is happening? McCarthy, the Republican Speaker of the House, at least in name, he came out and said that there is going to be a Biden impeachment inquiry. They're going to look into impeaching Biden. Why? I'm not talking about why they're doing it. I'm talking about what specifically are they looking into. They don't know. They don't know. My guess is that's why McCarthy didn't take any questions after announcing this. They don't have a specific crime that they're looking into. It's a vague notion of corruption. Okay? If you look to previous impeachments, say the two of the former president, what do you have? What were they for? One started with a phone call, right? The whole quid pro quo thing, that was the perceived crime. They looked for the person responsible. Then the next was the whole January 6th thing that we all saw on our TV. That's the crime. They looked for the person responsible. That's how it's supposed to work. What they're doing is not show me the crime and I'll find the man. They are saying, show me the man and I'll find the crime. They are looking into it, trying to find something. Are they going to? Maybe. I know in the partisan framework that a lot of the United States operates under, you don't want to believe that. Biden's not a savior. He's not a savior. He is a man. He is a person. I'm willing to bet at some point in his life he did something wrong, maybe unethical, maybe even illegal. Maybe they find it. Does it rise to the level of an impeachable offense in the eyes of most Americans? That's the question. The answer is, I don't know. Generally speaking, having followed politics for quite some time, if people are looking at it objectively, probably not. I don't see them uncovering something just incredibly wrong. But politics is not about objective reality. It's about perception. Is whatever they uncover enough to make it appear as though it is an impeachable offense, something that warrants that in the eyes of most Americans? Maybe. You can't rule that out. I don't think it's particularly likely, but it's possible. Okay, so what happens from there? It goes to the Senate, and then it stops. That's what happens. Okay, so realistically, this is doomed from the start. Realistically, that's what's going to happen. Unless they uncover something that is just immensely corrupt, you're not going to get enough Democrats to cross the aisle to convict at the trial in the Senate. So this is doomed from the start, especially when they don't really have the evidence to start with. Which is why, despite all signaling, McCarthy didn't bring it to the floor for a vote, which was kind of what he indicated he was going to do. They don't have the evidence. They don't have the votes on the Republican side of the aisle to start the impeachment inquiry. It's that simple. So, why is it starting? Because McCarthy is not a particularly strong Speaker of the House, and he did not take a golden opportunity to take control of his party in the House, because he was just handed one and he didn't take it. Okay, my guess, and this is a guess, is that the far-right elements, the social media engagement caucus, those who are about creating outrage rather than governing, those people, they came to him and said, hey, you know that short-term funding bill that you absolutely have to get through and there's no real choice about it? You're not going to get our votes unless you give us an impeachment inquiry. So he gave it to him. But that was not the best move. This faction of the Republican Party is what is causing all of McCarthy's headaches. And he just had an opportunity to render them irrelevant. Because what he could have done, as soon as he heard that, was cross the aisle. Go to the Democratic Party. Don't even tell the Republicans. Just go to the Democratic Party and be like, hey, you know this funding thing that we just have to do, we don't really have a choice about? You know that we have to get it through. I know we have to get it through. Give me the votes for it. Make sure that you can shore up any votes that I lack to get it through. And I won't give the far-right Republicans what they want. And what they want is an impeachment inquiry. I'd be willing to bet the Democratic Party would have given it to them. And this would have occurred, this bipartisanship would have occurred dealing with something that most Americans understand has to happen. They have to approve the budget, you know. So there's not going to be a lot of pushback on the idea of McCarthy crossing the aisle with this specific thing. But in the process of doing it, he takes away their leverage. Because once that happens once, he can always say, oh, is that what you're going to do? You remember what happened when you tried this leverage with the impeachment inquiry, right? I just crossed the aisle. I made a lot of friends doing that. We could do it again. And then he actually becomes speaker. He becomes the leader of the House rather than somebody who's trying to juggle all of the factions. He elected not to do that. It's going to come back to bite him. He's going to be in the same position again soon. But the end result of this, probably not much. There's going to be an inquiry. There's going to be a lot of social media stuff because that's really what they want. Maybe Biden actually gets impeached. I'd say 1 in 3 chance of that actually occurring. Then it goes to the Senate and nothing happens. It's that simple. Mainly because anything that Biden would have done that is perceived as unethical or illegal probably would have been done while he was a senator. And a lot of those senators over there on both sides of the aisle probably engage in the exact same unethical or possibly illegal behavior. They're not going to vote to convict on it. That's your most likely outcome. Now, are there outliers? You know, the possibility that maybe Biden did do something just incredibly corrupt or illegal. Sure. I mean, maybe. I don't know the guy that well. I've never read his diary. In that case, then it moves forward. But that is an incredible outlier. I would say less than 1% chance. But you can't act like it's not possible. You can't act like it's not possible. The Democratic Party in the Senate is not like the Republican Party in the Senate under Trump. If Biden is found to have done something just incredibly illegal, they'll convict. They won't ignore it the way Republicans did. So you have to entertain it. I just don't think it's incredibly likely. I think you're going to get a lot of social media engagement. I'm not even convinced it'll make it out of the House. But if it does, it's an almost certainty that it dies in the Senate. And all of this because McCarthy, the Republican Speaker of the House, did not see the golden moment to actually take control and begin to lead Republicans in the House rather than just constantly be embattled within his own party, which is why he can't get any legislation through, which is why Republicans in the House look so inept and incapable. He missed it. He missed a moment that he shouldn't have missed. But there will be a lot of talk, a lot of coverage. I'll watch it. I don't expect to see anything groundbreaking. I really don't. It's going to be a rehash of these same old allegations that never really seem to pan out. There's no real evidence. If you want to know what they'll be looking into, it'll be the financial ties, Ukraine, China, stuff like that. You can look to a video called Let's Talk About, I want to say, Ukraine-Biden timeline, something like that. That video was recorded years ago. There's literally no new evidence. Nothing has changed. And that's what they're going to be looking into. At time of filming, there has been no indication that there is more evidence, that there is something that is actually going to alter the outcome. But it's politics, so we have to wait and see what the perception is. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.